Welcome to the EQ Academy and today's subject, learning emotional intelligence. Learning, comprehension, understanding, becoming an expert in a field, getting recognition for expertise, and joining the winning team. And you can see behind me here on this chart from Integro Leadership Institute, a really beautiful chart which visualizes what they call the passion pyramid. Something that will enhance your quality of life and take you up the pyramid of passion based on your expertise and your learning abilities. And that's what we talk about. Now, many of us have programs that learning is something dreadful, horrible, painful, difficult, challenging. Well, and we don't learn to love learning. And then that turns out into a handicap for life, because let's face it, to resolve any problem, we need to learn. We need to learn from our mistakes. We need to learn new solutions, different ways of doing things, because the ones that we do don't work. So learning is one of the key elements, and you realize it's one of my biggest passions, because otherwise I wouldn't have put the EQ Academy together. It really helps us to override our old fears and our old patterns in order to achieve something outstanding. And you can see here the very first level of knowledge, whatever you gain, and it doesn't matter which field it is, like there is experts in everything. So whatever you learn to handle wisely, you learn to deal with, you have a lot of knowledge about, you are respected for. People will ask you for advice, they will listen to what you have to say, and then that will lead to more learning and more growth, because one thing is pretty evident: as soon as you get praise and you get recognition for your knowledge, it gives you that boost, it gives you that energy to learn more and to become better and to become a leading expert. Actually, success in the field drives more success, it takes you further. And that's why people who have overcome that first momentum of difficulties with learning, they thrive. And that's what we all want to learn. So let's look at some of the counter effects. I'm known to be a bit of judgmental in that field for people who don't learn, who don't want to learn, who just follow command. And I call them the sheeple. People that behave like sheeple. And those sheeple, they are told what to do, told what to buy, told where to go. They follow the followers, you don't even know who's leading, you just follow the herd. And that's something that is certainly not indicating a high emotional intelligence. And whether that's in religion or in politics or in shopping or in running to a sale, all of those things are indicated that you don't think on your own, you don't make your decision when you need, you follow the herd. And that's mostly manipulated through TV, and you can see that TV is a very good mind control. It actually really drives people into that sheeple mentality. And there is a much deeper background to it. And I want to clarify that, because this video is my dedication to all children, to all parents, all people who are involved with learning and teaching our children to grow into an open mind, into finding solutions and being able to change their life based on that development. So when you don't learn to learn, when you always are stuck, then you will be guided by the outside world. And that's to do with our mindset. And let me just go into the next slide. It's a total different thing between learning and accumulating knowledge and comprehension. The two things are in the right hemisphere of the mind. That's where you intellectually digest everything and you learn and you comprehend and you learn more and more and you accumulate information. But then you need to take it into the left hemisphere of the brain in order to digest it, in order to make use of it. The left hemisphere of the brain and also the brain stem is directly connected with your gut feelings. So even though you might have intellectually understood, I can do this, I can do that. And then I ask you 2 months later and you was like, yeah, I still can do it, but I haven't done it. Because your gut doesn't allow you, your patterns, your habits, that's what lives in the left hemisphere of the brain. And that's where we want to take everything in. And that means we need to be able to come to that stillness, to that silence, to that focused attention. And I hope you hear that word. Really, it's important that we have that focused attention on a subject. Now, where will you develop this kind of focused attention? In an area of passion. See, whether that's reading 200 magazines of sailing boats and studying where they come from and what they're built from, which area they are, who has built them, what kind of harbor they are, what kind of water they sail in best, who cares? 1,000 things that you might be expert in because you love sailing boats, because you've learned to love that area and you read and studied and researched and learned your lessons and paid the wrong boat and then you research deeper, and all of that will make you an expert. In the same way, it can be cars, old timers, knitting, stitching. I always mention that. I had a lady, she was doing dog dresses out of knitted clothes. And I was like, yeah, real interesting passion. But she was an expert and she developed patterns. She was hired by a company. She imports container loads of those things and sells them online with great success. So no judgment. Passion and expertise in any field will make you a leader in that field. And we saw that before in the pyramid. It takes you into that great stage of having that recognition, having that expertise and knowledge in a field. Now, coming back to the sheeple again, and what Einstein said, it's a miracle that curiosity and intellect, emotional intellect, survive formal education. It's actually counterproductive. We want to teach our children in normal schools learning by heart, chant learning, so that they can repeat and tick the right box when they are asked. And that makes them non-thinkers, whereas radical non-thinkers, or difficult thinkers as we call them, the outside-the-box thinkers, they usually have a problem at school. They are very, very challenged by this dogmatic thinking, but they become the leaders in later life. They become the big entrepreneurs who run business because they stop being sheeple and develop that art of focused attention. And this is something that you will find in children quite often. They focus on something and research something, and the butterfly probably doesn't survive, but they learn about it and they go through. And this is something that we will find the more you do that, the more you go into this silence, wrong mouse, the more you go into this silence, the more you go into this kind of left brain where you understand and comprehend. And to do that, we need to turn off distractions. A lot of people have always asked, Marcus, why do you so adamantly answer emails and then you shut off and we don't hear from you 2 or 3 months? And that's because I'm a very creative mind, and when I embark on a project, when I start a project, I focus on that project alone. I do nothing else. I close my room, I have my man cave as I call it, my studio and my lights and the camera. And then I start researching and working and building slides. And, it's a massive type of work. But it's my cave of silence. It's my place to withdraw. And I read and I study and it's my office is very nice. I have like a little couch. I have everything here so that I can pull away from the world. There is no internet. There is no Facebook. There is no email. There is no nothing. Until my project has come to fruition. And it's like a plant. You put the seed in and it takes a while for it to come through. And once it has the green leaves and it starts growing and the project is given life, then you can go out back to the world. And this is what we call the creative part. Now, a lot of companies who are in that hustle and bustle, they manage to get through things, but you will realize the ones that are in charge of putting it all together, or the ones who are in charge of leading a project, they have that silent time, they have that planning time, they have that execution time, and they really have a focused attention. I've had the honor and the pleasure to work with many very successful people in this world. And when you work with them and you ask for an interview, they have an hour time, very dedicated. And during that hour, they have focused attention to what they do with you. They concentrate, they're there. Whereas other people, mobile phone, and then text message comes in. And I think, there's many words I don't remember. For people that don't focus, don't concentrate, they are frazzled. And that's the total opposite. They never achieve an outcome or goal. They go to workshops, they go to seminar, they do all sorts of things, but they never take the time to pull it together and take it into that creative state of the mind. And that requires training. It's something you start out very little with your half-hour breathing exercise, with your exercise on focusing on something, drawing, design. You can do many things, but you take your mind away from the world. You turn off all those distractions that you see here, whether that's your cat, your bird, or some mathematical calculation of Facebook. Everything is turned off, and you become still. And then you start your work, and you focus on what you love doing. And that will then lead you to success. Now, another point, and I mentioned that before, we always start with a problem. Very obvious. You have a problem and you need to find a solution. So when you start, you think, you analyze, you plan, you try, you do again, and you keep on doing until you get there. It's a process. It's never ever something that happens on its own. Think about you go to school and you start in class 1, and then you work your way all the way up to class 12. Now think about you would start right away at class 12. Would that work? No. You cannot overstep all those learning curves that you need to have in order to become an expert. It's like looking at all sides of the field, and we cover that. And that's why problems inspire thinking and learning. They open up because we have to solve the problem. Problems lead to new solutions and inventions. They create that, what we call evolution. And if you're very clever, very emotionally intelligent, problems can make you a lot of money. They are the cause of your income. A problem that possibly many people have, and you find a solution which is not just sheeple mentality, go to the supermarket and take a pill. You find a solution to help those people, and you go then through the leadership program and you build it up and you present your solution, you sell it, and all of a sudden you will be very rich. This is actually the secret of getting rich. You find a problem, you find a solution, you become an expert in the field, you show your authority, and then you sell your solution. And people will love you for it because for them it's a shortcut. They don't need to do all the learning and all the drama. They can straight away get to goal. And there's plenty of people who want that. So to step outside that field and really join the winning team, as we had here in the beginning chart, to be on the winning team, passionate employees that really achieve great things, that's what you want to get to. Okay. Now I said just right now that looking at a problem from all angles is a really important thing, and always challenge existing beliefs, because they can only give you the same results as before. And this is something important. Do you know the story of the 5 blind and the elephant? Well, all 5 had never seen an elephant. They were discussing how it would look like. And then an elephant leader overheard that and said, "Come forth and I'll show you what an elephant looks like." And one of the blind men grabs the leg and says, "Oh, an elephant is like a trunk." The other one has the trunk and it says like a wiggly snake. The other one says it's like a spear when he had the tusk. And the other one said it's like a big mountain when he touched the belly or a wall. So all of them had their perception of the truth. And that's how many of us start the journey. When I started out with alternative cancer treatments or holistic cancer treatments, I did the same thing. Laetral is a cure. Hypothermia is a cure. This is a cure. Oh, and I was excited and I was proclaiming the same limited viewpoint as everybody else. Until I had studied long enough and hard enough and I realized, oh, he has done Laetral and still passed away. He has done all the Mariana and still passed away. Oh, and he didn't get better from the IV infusions because they didn't work for him. They were actually detrimental. Learning, keep on doing until you realize all the factors of the truth. And then you see the elephant not unconsciously blind, following the blind, sheeple mentality. You actually come to that clarity on how it really works. What influences what needs to be resolved in order to heal. See, for me, it was a massive learning curve, and it took a little while, but you don't need to pick the most difficult subject of all, what the whole world is struggling with. It was one of those massive projects that I've taken on, and there is a lot easier ones. But let's just say the bigger the problem, the greater the reward. You will have always equal amount of benefits and drawbacks. And that means if you pick something very challenging, you have afterwards quite outstanding success and huge results, which we can show off now. And that's quite nice to see it that way. Okay. I mentioned already before, you don't start out as a first class with your final exam from class 12. You go through the process. In the same way, if you want to climb Mount Everest, you don't, start right away there. You go and do many mountains beforehand, smaller ones. You start with your village hill and see whether you get up there. And then with training, with expertise, with knowledge, with what kind of shoes, what kind of ropes, what kind of breathing, you get there. And in the same way, if you realize that learning is just a matter of turning a problem into a solution and then overcoming your limitations, it's actually the same as we do with everything in emotional intelligence. We resolve something that we don't know how to handle, and then we find solutions how to do it more wisely. And this is why this concept is really important. And we do that in very, very significant steps. We plan our learning journey. And it's not just one massive end goal. I want to be a millionaire. Hey, big task. How? What with? So if I start the process very systematically and I say, okay, the first I develop my program. See, when I did my program, 7 programs, 7 different areas, it was massive research. It's now 7 years in the working. 7 years ago, we published the first videos. And they're still out there, and with great reference to them. This was the start, and it just kept on going until we're today at what the EQ Academy is today. It was growing in expertise and in knowledge. So you start out with your program, and then you develop from that a website, and then you develop your publicity and your social status and how to present yourself. And then you have your sale and your offer and you get the first clients in. That will teach you a lot, because then you need to refer and you need to correct and you need to explain. And then once you have done that, it's just that ladder going uphill. But if you see it as a journey to success, then every little success that you have on the way, every project that you finished becomes already part of that final end success, where you then just look for the next project and start again. Because usually we don't stop there. We just keep on going, because the process of evolution, the process of learning is natural. And we all love it and need it. And that's what I would like to leave you with. Inspire your family to not hate learning. It's an inspiration. It's something beautiful to grow and to move forward. And if you start to appreciate it, it can only lead you to massive success.